Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel, coming to you from sunny Istanbul. Obviously, as you know, we're out here with the 90-min team to cover the UEFA Champions League final. Manchester City looking to make it a treble, but can Inter stop them and throw a spanner in the works? I kind of hope so.
I definitely hope so, Harry. I definitely hope so.
Delighted to say that my colleague at 90min, Scott Saunders, is alongside me, and we're out here basking in the sun.
So windy as well.
Yeah, it's really windy. But this is the dangerous weather, because you think it's windy, so you're quite cool, but you can easily get burnt.
Yeah, I've burned my neck already, absolutely. I can feel it. I've got factor 30 as well, but it doesn't seem to be working. But I have to go and reapply some after this now.
We shall survive, don't worry. But Scott, we were just filming a show, and you told me sort of live during the filming of it that Declan Rice, who we knew would probably leave West Ham United this summer, it looks like that's a real possibility now, with West Ham themselves coming out, the chairman, David Sullivan, coming out and confirming that that is the idea for this summer. Are you surprised, though, that they've gone public with it at this point?
Yeah, I am. Obviously, I think Declan Rice was actually asked about it directly on the pitch after West Ham won the Conference League last night. He didn't really want to give too much away. It wasn't really the time to talk about it, this kind of thing. And usually clubs will try and enjoy the moment and think, this is about tonight, and we'll deal with all that later on. But I think it was David Sullivan's been quoted now in saying we promised Declan that he could leave this year. He wants to leave this year. We turned down bids for him before where he could have earned a lot more money. Had he moved last summer, then he would have earned with West Ham this year. And we essentially owe it to him to let him go. We gave him our word, so we'll sell him. Like, what my feeling for that is, obviously we know that Arsenal are trying to negotiate with West Ham about a deal. West Ham are very steadfast in saying, look, we want 100 million. I think maybe that weakens their position from a negotiation perspective a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense, does it, for them to come out and publicly say it at this point. I completely agree. I think you're right. I think it does weaken their negotiation position. I've talked loads of times on here about how I think he'd be a good signing, the fact that he can play as a 6 but also as an 8 if you wanted him to do that role as well, I think makes it really appealing to Arsenal. My worry and concern has always been that West Ham would really dig their heels in with the price. Now, we know they're still going to demand top dollar, but as you say, the fact that they've come out and said it feels to me like maybe something's been discussed. If not agreed, there's been some kind of discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would imagine it's been a conversation ongoing for a few seasons now, because obviously Declan Rice has been wanted by Man City in the past, United, Chelsea more than probably for longer than anyone. Chelsea have wanted him, really. So I'd imagine that's always been on the agenda. West Ham were obviously, they've been in Europe the last few years. In the Europa League, was it last year? I think they were, and obviously they've won the Conference League this season. They'll be back in the Europa League next year. But Declan Rice has made no secret of him wanting to play in the Champions League. And I think now that the time has come, he's at the right age. West Ham now seemingly are in a position where they're quite strong, and they could probably reinvest that money in a few different players to maybe make up the difference. That, Declan Rice is a captain, he's a heartbeat of the team essentially, so it'd be difficult to replace him. But like a well-run club, in a sense, I think they understand when a player wants to go, and they will, as long as the deal is right. It probably is time. My hope is, I'm a United fan, but it doesn't go to Arsenal. So
I'm sure it is. I was just going to ask you that, but the fact that it seems to all be pretty amicable between the player and the club, and the fact that the club are willing to say this, I know we've said it weakens their negotiation position, but it does give you the feeling that the transfer could be quite a bit easier as a result of their clearly building relationship. Yeah.
Because I thought this could potentially drag out for a few months, few weeks, as West Ham just, look, transfer window hasn't even opened yet, so West Ham could have been like, look, this is our price, we want to meet this price, and then you go right through the summer until a club bites on it. And United have fallen for that a number of times before, but the fact that they've come out and said, or Sullivan's come out and said, no, this is the time, we'll look to do a deal and we can expect it to happen this year, suggests to me that if Arsenal are working on a deal already, that they're in the box seat here, and maybe one isn't too far off. I'm not sure.
Just a kind of general question. I know I'm putting you on the spot here because we are talking about Arsenal, and I know you are a United fan, but based on what Arsenal managed to do this season, I don't want to say achieved, because people say, oh, but they didn't win anything. Look, even West Ham won a trophy. But Arsenal closed the gap on Manchester City significantly from where it was 12 months ago. What do you still think they need, though, in terms of maybe positions more than specific players to be able to...
Obviously, Saliba, when he wasn't there, I think obviously the difference and the drop-off was massively noticeable. So you need a centre-back, for me, who's going to be able to deputise. Like, Kivior's left-footed, right? So it doesn't really strike me as the answer in there. Maybe, I don't know, you see Ben White maybe dropping in there and you get a right back instead.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the alternative. But like, some cover in that position. But I think the midfield is the thing for me. Like, I wouldn't even surprise me if Jorginho left this year. Like, that was obviously a stopgap signing. Good value deal. He did his job for Arsenal. But if you want to get competing with the best, like, Jorginho's probably wrong age now. You're looking at Caicedo and Declan Rice who are on the market. If you can get both of them, that revolutionises your midfield with Martin Odegaard next to them. That's a modern midfield. Like, that is peak modern midfield. You got players in there like early to mid 20s who could be there for a decade, and I think that is it for me. I sometimes think whether Nketiah, does he have if Gabby Jesus gets injured, for example, like, does he have the ability to step up consistently? I know he did it last season, but maybe a little bit more firepower up front. I think the midfield and the if you needed 3 players, I'd say 2 midfielders and a right back / centre back cover for me.
I think that centre back issue and the right back issue that comes with the centre back issue has been made bigger by the fact that Tomiyasu's been out for such a long time. Because if he's fit, you tuck Ben White inside, or if you don't want to move Ben White, you put Tomiyasu at centre back where he's played for the majority of his career.
Yeah.
So there would have been better options on hand, and I think Arsenal were a little bit unfortunate in the end that it just all kind of came at once. But you're right, they certainly need cover in those areas. Look, we're in Istanbul. We're sitting in the fan park. We're at the Expedia live venue here. Of course, we're covering the game for 90 Min. Really, really looking forward to it. We've got some great content coming across the channel, so make sure you're subscribed and all of that. But Scott, we arrived here in Istanbul yesterday. How have you found it so far? Does it feel like Champions League fever is gaining momentum?
Suggestions like right behind us that it's starting to warm up a little bit more. People are starting to arrive. We've been here since like early this morning, and we're still 2 days out from the game, so it's picking up slowly. And I'm sure by tonight and all through tomorrow and Saturday, it's going to be really bumping here because Inter will come here with a legion of fans, I'm sure, and I already do see some City fans here. So it should be good. There's lots going on. There's lots of space to fill. There's a big concert like stage right behind the camera. There's another one up there. Plenty of space. In terms of Champions League final spaces that I've been to, I think this is as good as I've ever seen it, really.
Yeah, I mean, the weather's great, the venue's great. I'm sure the football's going to be great as well. And fingers crossed, though, Inter do prevent the treble. As an Arsenal fan and Man United fan, we can happily sit here and say that.
I don't think it'll happen, but hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Quick prediction then for the final.
I think City are going to smash them, honestly. And I'm not even trying to jinx it. I just think that City will score an early goal in the first half. They'll score an early goal, and I think that if they do go ahead I just don't think they'll be able to get back into it. And I can see City getting ahead of steam up, controlling possession. The game, I see maybe a similar game to what the game against United in the FA Cup final could have been, but for the penalty. I think United came into that with a bit of luck. Maybe that happens in another final like this, but City are the favourites, and I think they've been burned enough times to prepare for the occasion in the right way now.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll win. I think it might not be as clear cut as people say, but I think they should go on and win it. They should complete the treble, and ultimately tick the final box on their checklist of dominance over the last few years. But we'll see how it goes. Of course, as I say, make sure you're following all the 90 Min channels. Make sure you're following us on Twitter as well. Is it _ Saunders? And at Harry Symeou, and we'll be posting loads of content along the way. Thank you for tuning in. Declan Rice, how long will it be until he's a Gooner? We'll have to wait and see. Cheers, guys.